So as you can see with this laptop, I'm going to give you some story time with this laptop, right? So I remember when I was a kid, I was 12 years old in 2019, right around the time of August 2019 was the time I got this laptop, which was also the time that it came out, right? So I remember pirating video games. You know, obviously pirating video games on Windows 10, and yeah, I got like pornography viruses and stuff. A bunch of adware as well, but that's kind of just Windows by default. I remember a bunch of things. In fact, this mouse right here is a mouse that I took from my childhood school, and literally no one gave a fuck. No one, like, people watched me take this mouse, and no one really cared, so I just took it, and yeah, I still use it for the laptop now. And so, I also remember, usually as a 12-year-old, as you do, okay, we had these laptops at school that we was meant to do our work on. Or we was doing that in the computer lab as well, but which was also the place where I took this mouse from. Anyways, so we had to do the learning website or whatever, blah blah blah. Let me try to pull it up, though I have bad Wi-Fi. So there was a website that we used to play on, right? Or I guess for our grades. And it was called Misplay. It was called misplay.com. No, the fuck it was not. What the fuck is Misplay? I mean, it was called Mindplay. It was called Mindplay. Mindplay.com. Now, Mindplay.com was, weird to me. But, of course, instead of me doing Mindplay.com, I was watching YouTube in another tab in the corner here. You know, like a second instance of the browser, you know what I'm saying? And so that's how I was doing it. I'll have this look up for you. Anyways, and yeah, I remember also I still had the viruses when I was doing this on my laptop, but my mom, they noticed my grades were failing, and then I remember my mom telling me, "Oh yeah, there's a laptop at home, blah blah blah." And of course, you know exactly how that went. I did not even go onto the website. But also, back at that time was still when I had the pornography viruses. This Wi-Fi is horrible. Back in that time was still when I had the pornography viruses. Trying to think of what else. I mean, yeah, and I remember playing Breaking Point a lot. So this missing key was actually when I was pressing really hard on the keyboard when I was a kid, because I used the arrow keys before I started using WASD, of course. But this key broke because I was pressing down on it too hard, and then it came on my finger, it went on my finger, and so I just threw it off. So, and eventually Windows 10 went out of date, recently, and that's kind of where I decided, I'm not going to deal with Windows anymore. Windows 11 while Windows 11 is supported for this computer and the newest builds do come with Windows 11, Windows 11 is fucking ugly on this machine, dude. It's ugly. So I didn't like it. And plus, Copilot been exposed of being a spyware anyways. So, what obviously happened is I downloaded Linux Mint. I chose Linux Mint because of the familiarity of Windows 11. I mean, Windows 10. So, yeah. And I've been a Linux user for about a while. I used distros like Zorin OS was actually my first distro. I used Arch Linux. I used, other Arch Linux stuff like Garuda. I used Parrot OS. I actually used Parrot OS for, and I did study Kali as a kid when I got this laptop, but I never really touched Kali. It was too basic. It wasn't really too interesting for me, so that's why I use Parrot OS. Black Arch Linux is kind of in a weird spot for me, but I've used it too. But I really like Parrot just because it's like very flashy, really. It's more simple and straightforward. It's no nonsense type of shit. Anyways, I basically just used every single Linux distro until I found, what I like, and I like Linux Mint, Cinnamon, Budgie, Mate, and Parrot OS. And that does come to this time where, well, I'm planning to do hardware upgrades. I did the RAM upgrade. Originally this was 4 gigabytes of RAM, but I did switch it to 16 gigabytes of RAM when I changed it to Linux. When I downloaded Zorin OS, I remember. And then I now want to change the graphics card of it, or really the CPU and GPU, which now the newest build of this laptop comes with AMD hardware, like the AMD Ryzen 5 and Ryzen 7, all that. So that's good. I can easily just swap the motherboard out. And that's about it for the hardware upgrades, because, Intel is very mid. And, I just want this laptop good when I was gaming with it when I was a kid. Blah, blah, blah. But I remember the very first game that I played on this. The very first game, when I first turned the thing on, I was playing Happy Wheels. And now in current time, I actually have Ubuntu on dual boot. What the fuck? Dual boot. And now I do also plan to make another operating system, another hacker's operating system, but with GNOME and Budgie. And you'll see that in a minute, because that's going to be crazy. But that is basically the story of my laptop, without saying too much, too much unnecessary shit. In fact, the viruses that I had when I was a kid, it was so bad that the 500 gigabyte hard drive was only like 37 gigabytes free space, bro. That's how bloated Windows was. And you know what, honestly, my laptop was trying its hardest to reboot into Windows 11, but it really couldn't because it blue screened, and because of that, because there was not enough space on the hard drive. And so that's technically, I guess you can say, my childhood mistakes actually saved me, because I hate Windows 11.